Hey, good morning, friends. Today is Tuesday, July the 15th, 2025, and the time now is 7:54 a.m. So, friends, I want to talk briefly about the Trump Africa Summit, and I want to talk specifically about Stevie Miller as relating to the summit. Now, friends, the fallout from the summit still continues, and people throughout the United States and all over the world, Africans are weighing in, and Africans are very much angry, or they are expressing their discontent on the fact that Donald Trump humiliated African leaders and also disrespect Liberia's president, Joseph Boakai, by asking Joseph Boakai where he got his education, and also stating that Joseph Boakai speaks beautifully. For Donald Trump, as I've said in a past video, everything for Donald Trump is beautiful. Now, friends, as much as many are talking about what Donald Trump said to Joseph Boakai, once again asking Joseph Boakai of Liberia where he got his education and stating that Joseph Boakai, the president of Liberia, speaks beautifully, and that members of his administration don't even speak that well. It is very interesting that Donald Trump himself, whose English is very bad, who speaks as an elementary or a kindergarten kid, is actually praising, or commenting on the president of Liberia on his English and asking the president of Liberia where he got his education from and that he speaks beautifully. However, people are not stressing the fact that Donald Trump also disrespected the president of Mauritania, where he basically shut up and talked down to the president of Mauritania. As the president of Mauritania spoke, Donald Trump basically rushed him and stating that there isn't enough time and that there is a schedule that has to be followed, which I believe in international relations is humiliating, is disrespectful. You should have known and you should have let your audiences and your guests know how much time you have. Even if you are rushing, perhaps you can signal, you can call one of your aides to meet one of the other president's aides to tell him in secret, basically whisper to him that there is a time issue. Not just saying out flat out, hey, we are out of time, you need to hurry up, you need to rush. That basically saying you're talking too much, shut the hell up. Now, friends, I do apologize for deviating. However, friends, what I want to talk about is the fact that Stevie Miller was at the conference between Donald Trump and African leaders. And him sitting on the table or at the table with Donald Trump and others who I do not remember their names or their title is very much interesting, and it seems to have given Stevie Miller prominence. But let me come in here with something. Now, I haven't seen Pete Hegseth lately. I haven't seen the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, and also Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, lately. It is kind of like after the election, when Donald Trump won the election, J.D. Vance got missing, and all we saw and heard was Donald Trump basically just talking this and talking that. It was not until the inauguration time that we saw J.D. Vance begin to appear. And after that, he has been all over the news, basically talking smack and trying to support Donald Trump's nonsense. However, in recent times, it seems as if Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, and also Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, they have not been constantly in the news. I believe so that at least following Donald Trump's Operation Midnight Hammer, where they came out and they began to say a bunch of nonsense, supporting Donald Trump and trying to elaborate on Trump's claim of a victory over Iran. However, of course, J.D. Vance was present during Donald Trump's summit or Donald Trump's meeting with the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, friends, in terms of the meeting between Donald Trump and the 5 African countries, we are talking in this case Liberia, Senegal, Mauritania, Guinea-Bissau, and the fifth one is Gabon. J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, and Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, were missing. I do believe that J.D. Vance should have been present at the table. In this case, it is also a foreign incident, a meeting with the President of the United States and foreign heads of state. In this case, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, should have been present. But none of them, the three men, J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, and Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, were not present, or at least in the camera, they were not to be seen. However, Stephen Miller was at the table with Donald Trump. My question here is, what gives Stephen Miller prominence to be at that table? What importance does he have in geopolitics and in international relations to be at that table? Yes, watching the meeting with Donald Trump and the African leaders, I cannot recall and I do not see Stephen Miller speaking. But the fact that Stephen Miller was at the table with other big shots relating to Donald Trump or in the Trump's presidency or administration, who I do not recall and do not remember their names and title, it is very appalling. And it basically begs the question, what is happening in the Trump's presidency of late? Because it has been alleged that there has been infighting in the Trump administration. Of course, the prominent feud was that between Elon Musk and another Trump administration official. And the whole idea that Elon Musk also got away, basically took away Stephen Miller's wife. But the most prominent, superior of the feud is that between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And for that, honestly, I do believe that Elon Musk is probably going to die, or they're going to get him somewhere, somehow, with some kind of allegation or some kind of nonsense. And I'm saying that not because I'm wishing nonsense on Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is dangerous to the Republican Party and also to Donald Trump. Elon Musk is an insider, at least has been for the past 6 months. He knows some stuff. I believe he knows secret. He controls social media, a media platform or apparatus, and he is also financially sound. He is the richest man in the world. He does have the financial means to make lives difficult for Republicans and for the Republican Party. And because of that, I do believe that they are going to get him somehow. Of course, Elon Musk is another white man, just like all of them. And we saw that in the early days of the Trump's presidency, when during the inauguration event, he basically did the Nazi salute, and he stated to the audience, basically the white audience, "My heart is with you," as he did the Nazi salute twice. I remember a lot of people, even colleagues of mine, were throwing fit, and I told one of them, look, this is not about you. Elon Musk was basically speaking to those with whom he shared brotherhood and sisterhood with. Those who the message was meant for heard the message. It was a white supremacist call. As much as there is a feud, at the end of the day, we are being played by white supremacy in the United States government and elsewhere. Therefore, if the feud between Donald Trump and Elon Musk is real, and that they are actually going at it for real, then perhaps Elon Musk could be in big trouble in the near or far future, because he's a threat to Donald Trump and the Republican Party. They could try to kill him. They could try to get him out, foul play him in one way or another. Now, friends, once again, I apologize for deviating. But my thing here is, people have not been talking about the fact that J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and Pete Hegseth were missing, or at least they were out of the camera. They were not in the camera at the event at the White House, the Trump summit with African leaders. The fact that J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio were not in the camera, were not at the table. The fact that Stephen Miller, who was just an aide to Donald Trump, was at the table give him prominence that is unbelievable. But it also begs the question, what is actually happening in the Trump's presidency lately? What feud is going on between Donald Trump and his advisor, or among Donald Trump, his advisors, and basically secretaries or ministers, as they say in other countries around the world? So once again, friends, I'm going to say this. I do not think it is Stephen Miller's place, and I do not think it was Stephen Miller's place to be at that table as Donald Trump abused African leaders, disrespect African leaders in Africa. And because of that, I do believe perhaps many could be right that there is a feud within the Trump's presidency between and among Donald Trump and his aides, and also between and among Donald Trump and his secretaries or ministers. Now, friends, please tell me what you think, and I really want to know what you think. But friends, I am going to end here. I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, my friends. But most especially and most importantly, or most important, my friends, I want to thank you a lot for watching the Echoing Voice. Peace.